Hello and welcome back to 33 Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Michael Aveney. Today, I'm joined by Kenny, founder of JewishJoy.co and a Judaica designer. Did I say that correctly? Yay! It's good to have you here and welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here.
It's a pleasure having you. I can't wait to dive into your story today. It's really cool about a pivot and how you're hanging in there and doing it. And I can't wait to dive into it. So with that said, let's set you up powerfully. And just by starting off and inviting everyone to realize that we're all building structures in our lives all of the time, whether we think we are or not. Blueprints for our career, a home, our identity. And for a long time, my guest today built a physical structures. He worked in a corporate facility and in construction, a world of planning, details, accountability, deadlines. But what the external world looked solid, the internal structures were beginning to crack. And his journey led him away from the corporate facade and into a period of profound reconstruction. Through sobriety, he found a quiet place, a space to reconnect with his own heritage, his creativity, and himself. He began by building something new, not with steel and concrete, but with heritage, symbolism, and a desire for joy. It's a vulnerable process moving in a world of defined outcomes to an uncertain path. Who doesn't love uncertainty, right? Not. Of an artist and being a founder. And today we're talking about that transition and about dismantling that old identity to build a new one, piece by piece. Welcome. I'm just excited to dive in. And with all of that, where are you in the middle of
Well, it's so interesting hearing someone else talk about it. And literally right now I'm sitting in my shipping room where I kind of like separate myself from the creative space and living space. And so this is my little administrative layer where I can kind of think about my future and business aspect. So that's the cardboard and stuff around me. But yeah, I came from a corporate past, and that was my desire to be around creativity. I wanted to be around architecture and design, but I was hesitant to fully dive in. And so I didn't go to architecture and design school for undergrad. I went to just a um, general sort of education. I did some psychology and some business planning, some hotel management, and then ended up in 15-year career that I kind of stumbled into. But sort of an avoidance of my childhood trauma and underlying issues, I found myself dealing with some sobriety or some drug use that then needed to get resolved. And through that process of getting sober, I was like, I need to kind of reestablish a better way of living. And that's how I found myself here, where I wanted to reconnect with what felt true, and creativity is really what grounded me in uh, not my meditation, but like a calmer place, somewhere that I could reconnect with myself. And in doing that, I kind of felt like that would be what I would be able to kind of return to the world. And the hope is that that can also be the financial business, in the future. In the moment, it's sort of the interstitial space of trying to figure out how to make that profitable. And I think we'll
Mhm.
get into that of the different,
Yeah.
attempts that I've made.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of the journey.
I think in some level we're all, the outside things might look different, but the core energy of what you're talking about is happening to so many of us in the collective right now. Like,
Yeah.
you know, whatever woke us up, the addiction part, that's your journey. Thank you for sharing it. But it's also just a symbol of that didn't work. And that's what it took to make you realize that was like, okay, I gotta end this thing. I can't keep
Mhm.
walking all over this. You like took the time. What did that process look like? You spent years in corporate facilities and you were in construction, right?
Yeah, so I started in facility management, and that was essentially in retail. There were people like property management. So
Yeah.
I worked in high-end luxury retail, Hermes, Bulgari. I worked at Zara for a bit. and then Flywheel, which was like a Soul Cycle competitor. And so we would go into the stores at night, like little elves, and make sure everything was maintained for the brand image. So I maintained all the US properties for those companies and made sure that everything looked nice. If anything broke, if we had floods, air conditioning, carpet, break ins, glass, locks, anything like that.
Yeah.
And then I moved into construction after that, sort of the new stores, making improvements on building new design, that kind of thing. Um, and I liked it, but it was high stress. I was traveling about 3 weeks a month, and it really kept me from dealing with anything in my personal life. I was just
Yeah.
running and escaping and busy, and I wasn't really enjoying anymore.
Yeah. That heart takes me back to whenever I was doing the thing I thought I wanted to do more than anything in the world, but I realized, oh my God, I always want to live in San Diego or California. At San Diego, I
Hmm.
got this job opportunity, and that was my dream. But the reality is, I was gone like 35 weeks a year.
Yeah.
Like, you have no idea who you are. It becomes its own thing, but it's perfect for not looking at what's really gone on.
Right. The
Like,
job was the
yeah,
identity, and then I kind of was left with like, but who am I? Yeah.
yeah. I was scared the shitless, like, in California by myself. Yeah, totally. Yeah, get it. Like, but what, like, that kind of life, it did give me something, but it also took a lot away from me that I didn't realize that was costly. What was that version for you? Like,
Well,
what
I
did it cost you staying stuck inside of that?
I learned um a lot of, as far as like business skill set. Like I got my master's degree. I know a lot about like legal negotiation, contract management. I'm very comfortable speaking in front of people, interacting with a lot of executives. Like that, it gained me. Um, when it comes to myself and looking at who I am clueless. So that I don't know, because I'm very much about the company and the brand, and I can hide behind that wall of I'm doing this because of a standard or this is a requirement. And now that it's my own entrepreneurial thing, and I even hesitate saying that because I've never been on my own before. I've never done anything without a group, you know? And so that's terrifying. And that's not something I'm comfortable with. And it almost feels like I need permission from people to do things or a reason. And it's a little bit it's a lot uncomfortable all the time.
Totally.
Yeah.
But that's actually an asset.
Yeah.
It's an asset.
Sometimes I have to lean in. I'm like, okay, this doesn't feel good. That's probably what I should do then. Yeah.
Yes, just
Yeah.
keep wiring that together because
Yeah.
it is like that. And if you want that, there is a person that you can go to get permission from. I totally know what you're talking about there as well. Just go to any mirror and just crawl up in it and give yourself permission because that's all you got
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Hmm.
but again, this is part of the journey. It's part that we don't talk about how lonely it is to build something, how crazy it is to have an idea that's outside the box, even to begin a conversation about it. Mm, It was really late in my life. Like, that's how this whole journey started, was identity. And like my entire life, I thought I was chasing this thing to do something, fix something from what I thought was broken. But when my dad passed, it was like I realized that nothing was wrong. So
Mm.
that whole thing, even though I'd always been an entrepreneur,
Hmm.
I still related it to it like it was corporate. Even though I created it, it was still not me. It was, I built something that I participated in that I didn't
It
even
was
consider
separate
to being the
somehow.
founder,
Yeah.
but it was separate. Because that way, if there were anything went wrong with it, it was that. But even the way we think legally about how we set businesses up, it's always outside of ourselves. But the
Right. There's a
reality,
different entity somehow.
hmm so it's
Yeah.
built into the system, but you had the courage somehow to leave that system and start finding your own way to build something that was meaningful for you. Was there a spot or was there a trigger? Was there something that was like a switch that, okay, you realize, hey, I can't go back?
Well, there was a new boss that came into the company that I was working at the time. COVID was very good for me in the end. I know it wasn't great for a lot of people, but I was working at a mortgage company at the time. We were in the World Trade Center buildings and we were building out a lot of new properties. So, because of the mortgage industry and people were buying a lot of homes, we were considered essential workers during COVID. And so I was in New York going to the building every day and working all through COVID. So I wasn't at home. I was going into the office and it just felt silly. It was like, what are we doing? I'm building an office. I was building offices for 4,000 people and no one was there. And we were hiring 1,000 people a month. It just felt silly. And a new manager was hired for me and he was really smart and he was able to figure out that there was something going on. I was using more drugs than I had in the past and I was getting kind of mean. So I was doing my job. I was showing up to work more or less okay, but I was mean. And he was like, the people you're in charge of aren't happy. It's not great. And so they gave me an out and they basically were like, you can either get it together or you can exit and we'll pay you a severance for 6 months. And that was the blessing that I needed. And I took that severance and was able to then start getting sober. And that was when I realized I was like, I don't want to go back. I'm finally happy and I'm not stressed. I'm not at work every day. But I don't think I would have ever left. Like, unless that opportunity was presented, I don't think I would have ever left the corporate comfort because I liked the regular paycheck. And so he really gave me a gift in that moment because I'd never been fired. And that was the first time I was ever in trouble. And I was able to really cover my issues and stuff. And once I kind of went through that and saw the glimmer of like what it could be, I was like, I don't want to ever go back to that world. And nowadays I can't imagine going back to doing the corporate grind and that kind of thing. Um, I do miss the regular paycheck, but it's, so many other better benefits on this side of the thing that I see. Um, and I did write him an email after and kind of explained myself. And he was like, oh, I had no idea that there was a drug thing. I had no idea about any of that. He was like, you just weren't friendly anymore. And it's just so interesting how, one small decision can really benefit all these other things.
So many things. And
Yeah.
how that specific sequence of events unlocked you because you just said it. Like I wouldn't have left had this thing not. Yeah.
No.
Same thing
Yeah.
happened to me in COVID, that I realized, oh my God, I was a real estate broker.
Mm.
I was doing it straight for money.
Busy. Yeah.
No, doing it for money. Like, and
Mm.
I wasn't connected to it at all. And it was this thing, and I hated it, but it was making so much money that I couldn't. Yeah. Yeah. But when that went away, like that, from one
Yeah.
day, the day the world shut down, from 16 people to two, and only one of those closed, and that was it for a year. I would no longer was willing to participate with that outside illusionary stuff anymore. And
Yeah.
kind of like a carrot and a donkey, like I'm not going down that rabbit hole anymore. I'm going to figure out
Hmm.
who I am. I'm still on that journey. Do you find it still like a process, that it's not like a destination? It's more of like you get to just keep discovering and
Totally.
keep settling into that, and because the uncomfortableness of the uncertainty doesn't stop. In fact, it increases from my perspective, but I just keep getting more bandwidth to yeah. And the way the world is right now, right?
Yeah. I thought that I had figured it out the first 6 months or first year
That's
and
funny.
had a new identity. And then after another year, I'm like, no, it's so much more and so much more. And even now
Hmm.
it's like, um, initially was, um, uh, representing a bunch of other artists. And I was kind of running a business that, I thought was going to be a Judaica store and sort of a gallery for a bunch of other people. And now it's just me, where I just want to represent myself. And that's terrifying even more. And whether I'm making art or am I selling the art, what hat am I wearing at the time? It's a constant evolution of identity. And also, like, the idea of growing a business and trying to make money is almost in direct conflict to staying sober sometimes and trying to just stay relaxed and calm, for me personally. And so that is something that I'm trying to negotiate and resolve in my head. of like, am I able to still do it? Can I travel and go to the places I used to go and still grow the business? And so I travel with a partner now who I used to work with, and she is sort of my like emotional support human. And she sort of watches me. And if I have a bad day, she knows. But it's like, I have guardrails and I make sure that I'm okay. And am I 40 and I travel with an emotional support human to watch me? Yes, but it's what I need right now. And, it
And
sort
that's
of
okay.
works. And
Yeah.
it's, it's funny that like I need that, but also it's great, and it makes me not feel as alone in the business sometimes. So it's a pleasure.
Well, you're owning your own shit. You're like,
Yeah,
it's like, this is what I need right now.
it's a
Cause
reality
it
of
is,
life.
it's really difficult. You're, you're shining a light on something. It happens like with any sort of identity shift, whether that be the loss of a human in our life that we love and care about, or loss of a life that we used to have.
Hmm.
And, there's these things that like what your experience is, and we all have our own perception of that. We all relate it back to our own things that we went through. I never went through a treatment program, but I definitely had a 3-year love affair with Coke for like 27 to 30, whatever. And it was like, I thank God that I wasn't, that it was like, of an age where the other harder stuff that's available now, especially affecting gay community, is like insane. It's just
Hmm.
heartbreaking, and how difficult that is to get out of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you were doing, but I know that the effects of that are extraordinary, and how my own version of that was just like, it was a come to Jesus moment. It was just like,
Yeah.
hey, you're not going to be here long if you keep doing this stuff. And um Oprah and the grace of God, I just like for a year, I just worked
Do you
my
say
way
Oprah?
out of it. Oprah, yeah, at the
Oprah. Yeah, I
time.
love Oprah.
Well, she was like how I quit. Like, it
She's
started
very
out just a
wise. She's
weekend
very
thing.
wise.
And she is.
Hmm.
Back in the day, when she had Eckhart Tolle and Gary Zukav, I was actually in the
Hmm.
audience first time I was ever on the show as an audience member.
Nice.
It was Gary Zukav was the guy. It was how I found out about Seed of the Soul. And I never shared that with anybody. But yeah, that happened like that. She was always there on Monday when I was in the worst of the worst coming downs of, oh shit, I got to go to work now. And like,
Hmm.
what started out as a little weekend thing turned into a whole weekend thing, and went to a Monday, and I did hair. So I always had that off to recover. It just turned into a clusterfuck,
Yeah.
actually. So the whole thing about it was just it was another life that was coming out. I was resisting my energy part of my life. And, it's when I became that went into becoming a Reiki master and understanding the things that I was uncertain and scared about my own self. But
Hmm.
I had to find like a blank space. What did you find that? Like, how do you create that space for you to, in the middle of the transitions and the things we're doing in life, find that space for yourself how do you maintain that?
Yeah. So I had a overall nice childhood, but it was a little troubled where there was some molestation by some of the teachers. And that happened at one of the Jewish schools that I went to. And so I sort of separated myself from the Jewish community for about 20 years. And when I went to New York at 18 for college, I was on my own and I was free. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to participate in any of the Jewish culture anymore. And the jobs that I took sort of kept me away from holidays and, friends' weddings and just anything that I had to do. I was busy and I was working and whatever. And so when I started getting sober, I didn't like group therapy. I didn't like being around people. I like my physical space. And so my therapy was 3 days a week with different therapists. 2 days a week was like talk therapy. One day a week was like a future forward looking.
Just want to share that your journey reminds me of something really important, that structures that we build in our lives. Most of the time, those are the ones that people can't even see. that we walk around with. And it's another testament that nobody knows the story or the experience of that person. So that's why it's great to take time to actually stop and ask. And thank you for bringing all of your answers with those questions today. I appreciate it. Um, it's my pleasure. It's really not about demolishing our lives or reconstruction. Sometimes it's actually just about using the materials of our own story to build a life of meaningful for us. And maybe today is the day that we can start a new conversation about what we're actually building in our life. Is it in alignment with what we want to create, what we want to move forward with? Just take a look and see what happens. There's no right way. It's just one conscious choice after the other. I hope you guys enjoyed today's conversation, and we will see you on the next one. Bye, everyone.